Hey guys, Rihanna here. I'm your host of Recreate the Conversation. And in today's episode, it's a video, but in today's episode, I wanted to talk about how I manifested my husband and how we met. I have my notes in front of me, but I am pretty sure I'm going to get a little long winded, so I'm going to try to keep myself on track. Shooting for like 10 minutes, even though I don't know how I'm going to make that story in 10 minutes, but I might have to break it up into parts for those of you who are just interested in how I met him and how I manifested him, really. So it started back in college. I hadn't dated anyone, I never had a boyfriend throughout my college years. And, I felt insecure about that. I felt like, no one's liking me. What's wrong with me? Am I ugly? Clearly, it's not because I was ugly. But I had a friend who, please don't mind me. I have a friend who in college basically said to me, Rihanna, I think that God is hiding you on purpose because you're not one of those type of people who needs to get hurt in relationships. Like what you have to give, um, you know, she didn't think that it was appropriate that I got hurt prior to like finding the one. And I distinctly remember us having this conversation, and she just felt like, whoever God had for me, it was going to make so much sense to me why I had never had a boyfriend or why I had felt lonely when other people were going on dates and, getting their numbers and going out and having a good time. I really never had that energy reciprocated to me at all throughout college, throughout high school, none of that. So, we had that conversation and I understood where she was coming from, but it didn't stop me from feeling, insecure about myself, my looks, and why I wasn't getting that attention. But while others around me were, but I kind of chunked it off to the game, left it alone. Um, Fast forward to 2013, I moved to Jacksonville, Florida. 2014, I began my career as a medical technologist, and I was working nights. So the likelihood of me meeting somebody was slim. I still hadn't met anybody, even though I had moved and things like that. I don't even know if I was on a mission to meet people, but it was more so like it hadn't really happened. Um, Towards the end of 2013, I'd met a young lady at the church I was attending, and she's from Jamaica, is my bestie. And at the end of 2014, she began dating this guy, a Kenyan guy who was living in Oklahoma. And she messaged me and she was like, hey, my boyfriend has a friend. Can I give him your number? So I was like, sure. Now I'm going to stop the story right here to go back a little bit. While I was in college, for whatever reason, it dropped into my spirit. I don't know what. But, excuse me. I began saying, I am going to marry someone who is African. He's going to be beautiful, dark black skin. He's going to have a beautiful accent. Along with maybe he was living in the UK, so he had like that Afro UK British kind of vibe. I was very specific. I didn't know how he was gonna look like in my head, like tall, dark, handsome. It wasn't even like that, but I was just specific about him being African, being dark skinned, and having a beautiful accent. I would joke with my friends about this. I would always tell them, I don't know about y'all, but this is what I want, things like that. So I'm definitely team dark skin over here. I'm team all skin, obviously, but like, my husband's dark skin, so what's up? But anyway, so I would always joke about this. Like I would say it, I wouldn't sway from this. And I really think that people underestimate the power of the tongue and the power of manifestation and the power of thinking about something, not in a desperation though, not like desperately, but like thinking about something and just kind of having this energy like, I can have that. And that's what when I think about manifestation, that's what I think. It's not a desperate, I want it, want it, want it so bad that you put out into the universe, I don't have it. I don't have it, because that's what that energy feels like. When you want something so bad, it what the energy feels like is you don't have it that bad, and it's only going to bring back more of the lack. Whereas when you think about it, like, you know what, I would like this. This is something that I want. And you kind of have that confidence of like, this is something that I can get. This is something that can be good for me. This is something I deserve. I'm worth it. Then when you have that energy, I feel like it meets you. And it did meet me. That is a fact. So I'll fast forward back to when I moved to Jacksonville. In 2014, my friend did give her boyfriend my number to give to an individual, a guy. I didn't know who it was. At that time, I went home to St. Kitts. So for Christmas, and Christmas time is carnival time for us. So I was up in carnival. I was having a good time. I was on beaches drinking rum. I was just in my zone. For those of you who are from the Caribbean but also live in the United States, you know what it's like to have like those two lives. You have a life in at home and you have your life here. And so relationships at home can be kind of like whirlwind love romances and affairs to me. That's how I look at them. If you don't leave home with a boyfriend that's long term, it can be very hard to maintain a relationship with somebody across waters. It just is. For those of you who are doing it, kudos to you. But for those of you who have done it and recognize what I'm saying, you know what I mean. Like, relationships in the United States are just much different from when you're at home, to me. Not in the sense of the relationship and what happens, not in that sense. You still go on dates and do your little stuff, but what I mean is the energy is different. And like, especially when you have a limited time at home, like 3 weeks, what are you gonna do in 3 weeks? You know what I mean? So I don't know. Those of you who get it, comment below and let me know if you get it, if you get what I'm saying. But anyway, so I was in Nevis. We were coming from a boat. My cousin and I were coming from Nevis to St. Kitts. And I get this phone call. I remember the day. It was January the 3rd. It's my cousin's birthday. Happy birthday to my cousin. Shout out to you, Mudo. And I get this call from a Jamaican number, so I answer it. Keep in mind, I'm on a boat. I don't even know how the call came through in the middle of the ocean. I should not have even had service. So that within itself to me is divine. And it was Francis. That's my husband's name. Now, the night before, I met a Francis. He was a DJ. And we exchanged numbers so that when he DJed at another party, he would let us know and we would go. So when he called and he said, hey, this is Francis, I said, oh my God, I was just talking about you. You're going to live long. Because in Dominica, when you are thinking of somebody and then they appear, we say you're going to live long. And I was like, oh my God, you're going to live long. So immediately I blessed, essentially the wrong Francis, but I blessed Francis when he answered the phone. And he was like, okay, but this is Francis. I got your number from so-and-so. So I was like, oh, yes. Then I realized, oh, wait, this is the wrong Francis. I was like, oh, my God, sorry about that. The wrong Francis. But I think the phone started cutting up, like the service was bad. So I ended up kind of saying quickly, hey, I'll call you when I get online. My phone service is choppy. Got home. And we started WhatsApping back and forth, and I let him know I had gotten home and that, where I was and why the phone call had to drop and whatever. Anyway, we just kind of started chit-chatting through text on WhatsApp back and forth. The usual get to know you type of questions and stuff. And at that time, I'd kind of met another guy, and so I was dealing with another individual when Francis was talking to me. Not in any depth, not in any way. He wasn't like my boyfriend or anything. I had literally just met this individual like maybe 20 hours before. So it wasn't in any type of way, but I was like talking to somebody, if you will. And so after that conversation with Francis, I was like, wow, that was like a really nice exchange. He had told me I was very smart. He called me intelligent, based on our conversation and things like that. And I don't know, it stuck out to me. I would say it stuck out to me. So we continued talking throughout my time in St. Kitts, but it was kind of off and on. It wasn't like every day or whatever. And I remember having a conversation with a guy friend of mine, my best guy friend actually. And I was just like, I just like had this conversation with this African dude, like, and I was just like, what if this is my husband? Playfully, I said that because I'd never had a conversation with someone from Africa before, like from the continent at all. I didn't really have any. Ooh, in college I did have friends from Cote d'Ivoire, but so I've had conversations with them, obviously. But what I mean is, like in that way, like romantically, like where it could end up being something more serious. And the one time that I did, it got stopped. So that was the end of that. But basically, I was just kind of jokingly telling my guy friend, like, oh my gosh, what if this is my husband? Fast forward to um, when I got back from St. Kitts at the end of, at the beginning of January, I remember it was February the 4th, I was having a conversation with my dad. I had spoken to my dad about like, oh dad, this guy like is messaging me. I don't know, And my dad was kind of like, okay, just be careful, like a dad would say. But it wasn't anything between me and Francis like that. I didn't even really like him. I didn't like him. It wasn't even like that because we were just kind of chit chatting, but it wasn't like I had met him or anything like that. And I remember I'd called him on FaceTime and I was doing my hair. I didn't have on any makeup. I had on my home clothes and I was doing my hair. And it's like he was so familiar to me, even though we hadn't really had that many conversations, but I wasn't like trying to be all made up and dolled up to talk to him. And he answered the phone on FaceTime. And I was just standing up in my bathroom doing my hair. I was doing some big twists. And we were just having this conversation, and he actually ended up skipping his physics class to talk to me. And he said, and years later, I know that he said that was the first time you ever called me first, because he used to always like if he called, he would call first or he would text first, as they should. And because women like to be chased. I mean, let's be real. I mean, women like to be chased. What woman chasing a man? And I'm not saying that you shouldn't. If you want to chase men, that's you. That's cool. But I wasn't of the chase men type. And so when I called him that first time, but I do believe that women should like reciprocate energy if you are interested. I do believe that. I do believe you should communicate that to men who are interested in you. So yeah, do that. So I did call him because I was intrigued and I was a little interested. I wanted to kind of know and get to kind of know him better. And I called and he was like, "You've never called me before." I was like, "Oh, really? I hadn't noticed." And we just had this like 4 hour conversation. Kind of like, you're doing something and you're in the background and just kind of chit chatting. He was at somebody's house at the time. I remember there was a dog there and he was like petting the dog and we are just kind of chit chatting. Francis is shy, at least he was at the very beginning. And I am me, so I am talkative, I'm moving around, I'm doing my thing. But that is the story of how we initially got in contact and with each other. It was through a friend, but really I believe it was divine because here's the thing: how would I have ever met Francis he was living in Oklahoma, I was living in Florida? There is no reason I would have ever gone to Oklahoma for anything. And I just find it so funny how God works and how he divinely orchestrates meetings and connections. And I don't think it's a coincidence. And we just celebrated 4 years of marriage on February the 1st of this year. So February 1st, 2020 marks 4 years of marriage for us. And it has been such a journey, rewarding, challenging, a lot of growth. My God, a lot of growth. And I really want to spend some time kind of going through that. But, I just kind of wanted to share that journey of how I spoke him into my life. And I wasn't the type who, aspired towards marriage, or I had my wedding dress picked out and wanted to have this big wedding. I wasn't that type of girl. I didn't have that type of wedding. I am very private. but I'm also an open book. It's strange. It's a strange dynamic because here I am talking to you about it, right? But so like I'm an open book and I'm very transparent in terms of this is my life, but at the same time, I do protect what is mine in privacy, if you will. So there's that. But I really wanted to come on here and kind of share with you guys that journey of how I manifested my husband. And I'll kind of get into it more of like when we officially met and things of that nature in another video or podcast episode, who knows. But yeah, so thanks so much, guys, for listening to another episode of Recreate the Conversation. Comment below how you met your significant other. Share that with me or not. I mean, whatever is your thing. There's no forcing here. Um, and let me know if you liked it. I hope that you like, subscribe, comment, share, all of it. So yeah, I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.